Hello, welcome to NAFDAC and Your Health. My name is Tosin Omolaja. This is the program that brings you all the important information you need to know about NAFDAC, the agency saddled with the responsibility of safeguarding our health by ensuring that the foods, drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment made available to us are safe and wholesome. Last week on the program, we reported a very unfortunate case of food poisoning that led to 3 fatalities in Kano State, which had been caused by a mixture of deadly chemicals thought to be citric acid used in making drinks sour. Today, we continue our series on the subject of food contamination and poisoning to show you how that all of us have a critical role to play if we must keep a healthy life free of foodborne ailments or poisoning.
The incidence of food poisoning in Kano is a very sad event, and they tracked this down to some flavored drinks. Food poisoning is a common occurrence, but that can be easily prevented. As a regulatory agency, our goal is to safeguard the health of Nigerians, and we are very, very particular about food additives, about the temperature at which a food can be kept, about the expiration dating on food, extremely important. Because if all these things were violated, then there could be food poisoning. Talking of contaminated food, buying things from the streets, drinks from the street, buying agbo from a liquid bottle, you just don't know where those bottles came from and how well they were washed and sanitized. So the public has to be very, very careful in terms of buying drinks from the streets, especially if it doesn't have the label of a known company. And if it does have the label of a known company, sometimes they fake it. We just have to be very street smart. Street smart in the sense that you just don't buy drinks or food wrapped in a container or whatever on the street, because you don't know where the source of the plastic is. People use plastics for so many things, and if they are not washed properly many, many times, for example, plastics that are recycled, they are treated very well in the industry before recycling. They are treated with chemicals to make sure that anything is killed before breaking it up and then recycling it. But for people selling food on the street, that is not there. So the dangers of eating or taking in contaminated food bought on the street is very high.
Although NAFDAC, as the agency responsible for safeguarding the health of all Nigerians, continue to work round the clock to ensure that it consistently delivers on these mandates, we all have very important roles to play in ensuring that our health is not compromised in any way.
Anything you consume, to nourish yourself is actually food, okay? And that is why adequate precaution must be taken when you are actually consuming food or preparing food, okay? And some of the sources, some of the things that can actually lead to food poisoning, are foods that are not properly prepared, or foods that are not properly stored, or foods to which you've added things that you're not supposed to add, okay? And the kind of precautions that we expect people, everybody to take, is to ensure that everything you are consuming, ensure that they are properly packaged, labeled, and presented in a way that you can be sure that that the thing you are consuming can be tracked and traced. So these are some of the things that we need to pay attention to. And also, our processing habits, okay? For instance, you cannot take raw chicken and keep it with biscuits, because raw chicken comes with a load of, the bacterial load is very heavy, okay? And when you consume such products, or it contaminates biscuit, or it contaminates any other food that you're not really going to process again, then it could be a source of food poisoning. You get things like eggs. Eggs do have a lot of salmonella. So if you don't process the egg properly, for instance, if you make a batter of eggs and then you are tasting the raw egg to see whether you've salted it enough, that could be very dangerous, and it could be a source of contamination, because egg has a lot of has some bacteria with it. Also, vegetables and fruits are also sources that you can easily get contamination if you don't take adequate precautions. Okay, that is why we want you to properly cook your vegetables, not to overcook it, because when you overcook, you're also destroying all the nutrients. But cook it, sufficiently to ensure that all the germs and bacteria that are there are killed. Now, these things I've spoken about are things that you can deal with cooking. Bacteria, microbial contaminants can be dealt with by cooking. When you cook, you kill those. Of course, you try to neutralize a lot of the germs, but that is even to a certain extent, because if there are toxins already produced in the food, by the bacteria, and it's already in the food, even if you cook it, the toxins might not necessarily be denatured, they might still be intact, and when you eat such food, you can still get contamination. So the best thing is to make sure you follow all good practices and prevent contamination along the food chain.
Chemical contamination of food accounts for a great number of cases of severe food poisoning. Adding dangerous chemicals to food and drinks to enhance or alter their form can be a dangerous and even fatal action. NAFDAC, within its mandates of regulating and managing the proper use of chemicals, does everything possible to ensure that dangerous chemicals don't find their way into our society.
Apart from making sure that we put down the regulations and guidelines for people dealing with chemicals, that's both manufacturers and end users and those that market chemicals, we give authorization for import permit. Before you can import chemicals into Nigeria, you must have obtained an authorization from NAFDAC. We go on to ensure that you have adequate facilities to deal with the chemicals. When I mean facilities, building, all that is required, including personnel that will handle the chemicals. They have to be knowledgeable, they have to be of the right qualification. And then we ensure that even in the storage of those chemicals, that you abide by good warehousing practice, and also that the fact that you don't keep chemicals close to residential buildings or where they are going to be constitute a pollution to the environment, or there will be a hazard to health and environment. So we do all that, and then we also, there are some chemicals that we also have a closer look on, that depending on their use, especially when they can be diverted to wrong use.
Chemical diversion has become such a hydra-headed problem in Nigeria, where people indiscriminately put all sorts of chemicals and food additives for the production of foods and drinks.
If the product is a manufactured product registered by NAFDAC, whatever additive that you are putting there must be a permitted one, and it's not supposed to be harmful. But if somebody now, you go to your house and you start making your own drinks, because I see at times, you see even in the open market, some people tying some things in plastic bags and they are saying to children, colored water and all that. People really have to be careful about what they consume. And then you cannot just sit at home and you start mixing chemicals into a drink, because for something to go into a finished product, there's already a specified quantity that you add per batch of that formulation. So if you're doing it on your own, do you have any measurement? Do you know what is the minimum quantity or maximum quantity you're supposed to put in that drink or whatever to consume? So chemicals should not be dispensed. Don't buy anything that is not in the original pack, that you don't see the name. It's not even advisable for people to even mix drinks on their own. Buy already mixed drinks, because already whatever they want to add, even if it's that citric acid they want to add, they would have tested it and be sure it's the correct ingredients and they add it at the right amount. Because when you try to do things on your own, you might end up buying the wrong chemical, and you see people consuming wrong chemicals that could be very, very injurious to their health.
Don't take any product that is not labeled. It could be poison, it could be dangerous, you know. Make sure there is a label on it. If you walk along the streets and in most of our motor parks, you'll find a lot of people selling products that are just packaged, liquids with different colors. Some are yellow, some are greenish, some are dark, put in plastic bottles and without any label at all. And you see people buying these things and consuming them. This is very, very dangerous and could lead to severe illness, you know, organ damage and even death. Now, if you consume a product that is not labeled, in the event there is a problem, there is no way anybody can easily identify what led to that problem. Okay? Just like, you know, I mean, this case we had in Kano, because we just saw some white substance or some substance, and thank God for advanced equipment that we have in our laboratories. We were able to, you know, run through those substances and we're able to make a positive identification of what those chemicals are, you know. So we want to encourage the public to only consume products that are registered by NAFDAC and that are properly labeled and that have been produced by people who are authorized to produce such products.
We'll take a short break now. Don't go away.
The MedSafety app is the latest reporting tool introduced by the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control in November 2020 as part of the Innovative Medicines Initiative project. The app is made available to the public in collaboration with World Health Organization, Uppsala Monitoring Center, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, UK, and National Agency for Food, Drugs and Administration and Control, NAFDAC. The MedSafety app allows users to track safety information of medicines, vaccines and other health products, report adverse drug reaction to a medicine or vaccine, and view data on suspected side effects. When you have received your COVID-19 vaccine, you can use the MedSafety app to report any adverse reaction or side effect you may feel. The app can be used by anybody, irrespective of whether you are a medical practitioner or not. You, your family and friends, everyone can download and use the MedSafety app to report adverse drug reaction. Just search for MedSafety on Google Play Store for Android and App Store for iOS. When using the app for the first time, the user needs to select his or her region, in this case, Nigeria, and also choose the preferred language of choice. The user will then be taken to the login page where you create an account by providing your email and password, or proceed as a guest. To create an account, you are required to provide the following details: reporter type, example, physician or pharmacist, as well as their name and email address, password with at least 9 characters with 1 uppercase letter and a number. Read the privacy statement and accept. Once you are logged in, the user is presented with a number of tabs, which includes news, products and watch lists. Under the Report tab, the user can report a new suspected adverse drug reaction, ADR. On opening a new report, the user is prompted to input patient details, which include initials, sex, and date of birth. The user is then required to input details of the suspected medicine. These include suspected medicine name, other drug details such as strength, batch, dosage details. Multiple suspect drugs and concomitant drugs can be added at any time. The report can be saved and completed at a later time. A saved report can be found on Pending Reports and can be continued by clicking on the report and continuing from where the user stopped. Enter reaction details, reaction date and outcomes. Multiple suspects' reaction can also be added. Also, Further details about the report can also be included, such as did the reaction cause prolonged hospitalization, disability, congenital anomaly, or birth defect, life-threatening results in deaths, and so on. Finally, you can also add details of any relevant medical history before submitting the report. The user receives a message on the app confirming submission and an acknowledgement in the mail for submission. Reports can be created and saved without internet connection and be sent whenever internet connection is available. The product tabs show all medicines in the NAFDAC list database. It's easier to navigate to a drug or vaccine of interest, and this data is obtained from the WHO Uppsala Monitoring Center. User can also add products of interest to their watch list to get the latest information on the drugs. All products added to the watch list can be viewed in the watch list tab. The News tab displays drug safety information by NAFDAC. This is usually up to date with drug safety information. Registered users can also edit their profile or change app settings. For more information on the app, please contact the National Pharmacovigilance Center (NPC) at NAFDAC headquarters, plot 2032, Olusegun Obasanjo Way, Wuse Zone 7, Abuja, or call 09290511110 or send email to medsafetyapp@nafdac.gov.ng or pharmacovigilance@nafdac.gov.ng.
Welcome back. If you are just joining in, you're watching NAFDAC and Your Health. In many cities across the country, people are known to be engaged in the practice of reusing plastic bottles of water and other beverages for bottling different foods like groundnuts, cashew nuts, and so on. However, science has shown how very dangerous this could be.
We do not encourage recycling of bottles, to serve food or to serve drinks. Any bottle, plastic bottle, whether glass or plastic bottle that has been used, should be taken to crushing plants where they will be crushed and subjected to the normal recycling process. The practice of picking bottles from dustbins or from the streets and then trying to clean them and trying to use them to pack groundnuts or to package some form of zobo or drinks or anything like that is very, very risky and very dangerous, because you do not know what these bottles have been subjected to. They could have been used to mix some chemicals that are very poisonous. No matter how much you wash those bottles, there will still be residues. There will be little quantities of those chemicals that will be left in the bottles, so in such containers. So we don't encourage use of such bottles to recycle in that manner. Bottles that have been thrown off, you once pick and then pack nuts into them, or make drinks and zobo or some concoction, something like herbal mixtures, which they call agbo or something like that. We don't encourage it, and if you want to make those things, go and purchase fresh bottles from people who make bottles and use clean bottles. Using recycled bottles can lead to foodborne illness and all sorts of problems.
Some also engage in the practice of converting containers used for chemicals to other uses, including collecting water for consumption.
Don't ever use container that has been used for chemicals to put food or even to fetch the water that you drink. We find out that people even get kegs that have been used for chemicals. They go wash it and then use it to be fetching water. You are endangering your life. The effect may not be evident. It can take years. You find out you have a lot of people with kidney failures. You have a lot of people developing all kinds of malignancies. That's cancer. So it's an effect that you don't see immediately. That is very, very, very injurious to your health.
To enjoy a healthy life free of the hazards of food poisoning and forms of ill health, we must be very intentional about what we eat, where we eat, and the sources of such foods.
we need to appeal to the public to please exercise discretion, when buying or consuming food or taking a drink. Please make sure that even if the person selling the drink tells you that, look, this drink is safe, I'm tasting it, that is not enough. We all react different ways to different things, and we all know. Do you understand that? Some people take medicines and they are fine. Some people take medicines and they have severe reactions. So people react differently. For instance, some people react severely when they take nuts, things like groundnuts, and others eat groundnuts without any problem. So it doesn't mean that because somebody is taking something and it doesn't harm that person, then you can also take it. Please take food that is properly presented and properly labeled. Don't take concoctions, drinks, or all these things that are packaged in trays and hawked about in the motor parks by some people and telling you that these things are, they take a little sip of it and tell you that nothing is wrong with them. Over time, these things can become very injurious to health because they accumulate within our body, and after some time, it can result in organ damage, liver problems, kidney damage. It can even result in cancer. There are things that are not permitted in food. There are some that were permitted in the past and no longer permitted now. There are even some that are permitted but in limited quantities. So those are the kind of precautions that one would like to emphasize, and also to tell people, don't add things that are not meant to be added to food. Prepare your food as it is and eat it. The only thing you can add to food, salt, and some other form of seasonings. No form of chemical should be added to food before you eat. Please, no form of chemical should be added to food before you eat. The only thing that you can add is salt if you desire so. And these days we're even preaching that people should reduce salt intake because of other, problems that could lead to hypertension, high blood pressure, etc. But do not add things that you should not add to food. We don't want you to add non-nutritive sweeteners. If you want to sweeten your food, add sugar, in a quantity that is not too much also. Add sugar. Don't go and add things that you should not be adding. Please. So these are things, these are the kind of precautions we would like to call the attention of people to, of the public too, so that we will take all necessary precautions to ensure our food, the food we eat, is safe, and the food we also offer people to eat is safe.
Here's where we draw the curtains on this edition of the program. Join us same time, same station next week for another informative package. In the meantime, if you have comments, complaints, or you want to report activities of fake drugs or adulterated food products peddlers, our doors are always open. You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email, reforms@nafdac.gov.ng, or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded. COVID-19 is real. Please ensure you and your family follow safety measures as outlined by the NCDC. Stay away from crowded places as much as possible, and if you must be out there, please wear a face mask. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water, and ensure you use only NAFDAC-approved alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Taking the NAFDAC-approved COVID-19 vaccine is safe. It's our best bet of stamping out the deadly coronavirus. And don't forget to download the MedSafety app from iOS or Play Store to report any adverse reaction from the vaccine or any other medicine at all. See you next week. Stay safe.